Welcome to The Kingdom, a podcast dedicated to CCBC Essex Athletics in a land defended by Sir Ross's Knights. Now here's your host, Rocco Geppi.
Hello, Knights Nation. Rocco Geppi here for the Kingdom Podcast, and this is our final podcast of 2021 as we are just days away from winter break. This is our first episode in almost a little over a month, actually, and for that, I apologize. We had a very, very busy end to November. We had men's soccer at the national tournament November 15th through the 20th. That ran and took us right up to Thanksgiving break. And then, unfortunately, yours truly ended up on the injured list, so I was out for a week, but now I'm back and right back in the saddle and hoping to bring you some great coverage of our teams because there is a lot to share. And if you're a fan of the Knights, you already know a lot of what I'm about to tell you, but we're going to highlight some things anyway. First, we would like to close the book on men's soccer season. They headed to their second straight national tournament. And this time, as the top seed, the number one seed in the tournament. And here's how things went. The tournament got started off for the Knights on Monday, November 15th, as they took on Heartland Community College, who they did face the previous year in their run to the national final. This game, very hard fought by both teams and was scoreless all the way until the 86th minute of play. Nothing like a little drama to get your tournament started. And that's when Ethan Stewart put home a laser of a shot off the left foot, assisted by Andy Portillo. And that would be the only goal in the game as the Knights would go on to a 1-0 win. Sophomore goalie Brendan Lemaster, 5 saves in between the pipes to preserve the shutout and get the Knights started off in style 1-0. Being the top seed means you get a day off in between, so 2 days later the Knights took on Carl Sandburg College, and this will be another one-goal game for the Knights. There will be no differential coming out of pool play this year as the Knights would win this one 1-0. This time in the 60th minute off the foot of Riku Kawano, again assisted by Andy Portillo. Brendan Lemaster, he picked up 4 saves this time to hold the shutout, with the defense playing great, especially in the second half, and holding Carl Sandburg off the scoreboard in order to make it out of pool play undefeated and go to their national semifinal for the second straight season. In that semifinal game, the Knights would face another familiar foe that they took on last year in the tournament in St. Charles Community College. This one featured a few more goals than the previous 2 games. First to strike was St. Charles in the 64th minute. Lindo Zimba scored to give them a 1-0 lead. The Knights, less than 3 minutes later, scoring to tie it up. It would be Kota Tuchizawa from his fellow countrymate Kazuma Ishizuka. And then in the 71st minute, Sam Diaz puts in a goal off of the rebound. There was a header put on frame, and Sam put the rebound home on a header for himself. And that would be the decisive goal as the Knights would keep the Cougars off the scoreboard the final 20 minutes of that one. Brendan Lemaster saving 4 in the victory to get the Knights to their second straight national championship appearance. And this time it would take place on Saturday, November the 20th against Pima Community College. Just an outstandingly competitive game. The Aztecs would get on the board first. 3 minutes into the game, Francisco Manzo put the Aztecs on the board, but then this guy named Toga Katsuma, he would go off in the 21st and 43rd minutes of play to give the Knights a 2-1 lead. Unfortunately, with 12 seconds remaining before halftime, a ball found its way into the box and a soccer scrum ensued, and the Aztecs were able to put it home to tie the game at 2. This game would go the second half and 2 overtimes without another goal being scored, and it was not for lack of trying. The Knights, in the second half, 16 shots were taken In the first overtime, 2 shots, and in the second overtime, 6 shots. Total of 24 shots taken after that first half. They outshot Pima 36-19. Unfortunately, the Knights could not get a goal in the golden goal time, and we would head to penalty kicks. And I know all of us out here in the soccer community have our own opinion about penalty kicks. You never want to see a championship decided on one, but that's how this one went. In the first round, Taki Murakawa, he converted his kick as the Knights were kicking second. Toga Katsuma was up, and he belted one home to tie it at 2. On the third round, Henry Ortiz converted to keep this tied at this time at 3. And after the Aztecs converted their kick in round 4, Ethan Stewart saw his kick saved by Juan Suarez, who in the game made 14 total saves. As Brendan Lemaster, he made 6 saves in the game. So it was all up to Francisco Manzo in the 5th round, and Manzo delivered, putting the ball past Lemaster, and the Aztecs would win their first Division II crown, and the Knights come home with a second straight runner-up final. Extremely proud of this team and the job that they did for the tournament. Ethan Stewart, Marvin Martinez, Toga Katsuma, all named to the all-tournament team. And then we found out several weeks later that Ethan Stewart was voted the tournament's most valuable defensive player. So congratulations to him for that. Congratulations to head coach Joe Fiedler and his staff for taking this team to back-to-back national championship games. And no doubt that they will continue to be a force to be reckoned with as we get ready and turn the calendar over to 2022. Look for the Knights to ascend back to the top again next fall. Well, that's all we have for men's soccer. We're going to take a quick break, 30 seconds here, and when we return, we are going to get you caught up with women's basketball. The Knights on the court are tearing it up, and we'll tell you more about that here on the Kingdom Podcast, a podcast dedicated to CCBC Essex Athletics.
Let's talk about college. Times have changed. When it comes to realizing who I am and what I can be, I will not tie my dreams to somebody else's definition of success. I will not confuse a fancy name with a good education.
For all the practical thinkers, the achievers, the can't wait to get started types out there, your community college is waiting. Rethink what's possible with CCBC. Visit us online at ccbcmd.edu and see what you can be.
We are back here on the Kingdom Podcast, and as we said at the top of the podcast, our final podcast of 2021, and we'd like to thank all of you for sticking with us all season long in this, our 4th season here with the Kingdom Podcast, and we invite you to return in 2022. We will have our first episode of the year in January. We hope you continue to stick with us, and if you're listening and you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find us youtube.com/CCBC Essex Knights, and one of the benefits of subscribing to the channel is anytime we upload new content or we go live, you will get a notification if your settings are correct on your mobile phone or tablet or however you receive your notifications. So make sure you go. Again, that's youtube.com/CCBC Essex Knights. Subscribe to the channel. We are less than 30 subscribers away from 1,000, so make sure you get in on that. We're looking really forward to hitting that milestone as well. So now we're going to talk about our Knights on the court, and they certainly have not disappointed thus far this season. Essex women's basketball off to a 12-0 start. They're ranked number 8, Division II in the country, and their last 3 games, the Knights have taken down 2 ranked opponents, D3 number 4 in Monroe College, the Bronx, and the D2 number 11 ranked Union College Owls here just a couple of days ago. But we're going to go through these games, these past 3 games here with you, and give you some more information, break those down here. We begin with the game against Monroe Bronx on December 10th, A battle of two ranked teams. As we said earlier, Monroe come into that game as the number 4 ranked Division III team in the country. And the Knights, without the services of their top scorer, Jalen Swann, as they have been these last 3 games, really took it to the express. Final score in that one, 79-42. And let's go to some of the information of this game. The Knights, they got out pretty quick and took a 25-8 lead after the first quarter. And in that first quarter, jumping out was Pat Anumba. Pat would finish the game with 34 points, a career high, 15 points in the first quarter, 7 of 12 from the floor. The Knights a little bit off their mark in the second quarter, but still took a huge lead, 41-26 into the break. Came out as they tend to do in the third quarter, and really shooting the ball well and continuing to dominate the game. 26-10, outscoring Monroe in that third quarter. And then both teams coming down the stretch in the fourth frame, a little bit off, combining for just 18 points in that one to give the Knights the win. But it was an impressive win, their win over a ranked opponent. And those of you that don't know JUCO basketball, it doesn't matter Division I, II, or III. If you're ranked, your division doesn't matter. If you're a ranked team in JUCO anywhere, you can definitely play some ball. As we mentioned, Anumba, she had a career high, 34 points. She finished the game with a double-double on a total of 16 of 35 shooting. She had 10 rebounds and contributed 6 steals and 3 assists as well. Jalen Swann and Vanessa Woodfolk, they also scored in double figures with 15 and 13 points respectively. Swann adding 4 rebounds and 4 steals, while Woodfolk had 8 rebounds and 2 blocks. Again, in this game, the Knights taking care of business, 79-42. And there wasn't much time to rest, as they had to take on Niagara County one day later, and weren't sure what was going to happen in this game before tip-off. Just from this perspective, the night before, the game against Monroe got pushed back to 7:30, originally scheduled as a 6 p.m. tip-off time, because the officials were running a little bit behind. So by the time they got there and everything was good to go, it was 7:30 at tip-off. The team did not get back here into Baltimore until just after 2 a.m., so a lot of them getting to bed in the wee hours of the morning, and then had to take on Niagara the very next day. That game was played up at Cecil College, and we'd like to thank Cecil and their athletic staff for hosting that game, as we watched Cecil take down Niagara on the men's side before our game started. And once our game got started, it was all business for the Knights, as Anumba would have a 30-point game for the second day in a row. The Knights taking care of business against Niagara, 89-51. Anumba finishing 16 of 35 shooting in that game, with a game-high 31 points. Jalen Swann, she did have a challenging time in the first half. However, she flipped it 180 degrees in the second half, the third quarter especially, scoring 9 points, going 3 for 5 from behind the arc. She carried that momentum into the final quarter and ended the night with 15 points, 4 rebounds, and a block. From tip-off, the Knights really, they began a little slowly, failing to make any shots, and allowed the Thunderwolves to find some opportunities. And it wasn't until the last 4 minutes of that first quarter that they really began to assert their authority and gain momentum. Kendall Hagerty, she checked into the game and made an immediate impact, hitting 3 of her first 3 3-pointers, and helped the Knights end the first quarter, that is, on an 11-0 run. The two teams continued to trade blows in the second quarter, in what would prove to be the lowest quarter of the night. The Knights outscoring the Thunderwolves 15-10 and taking a 41-21 lead into halftime. Beginning of the second half, both teams kind of struggled a little bit to get started, but Essex began to return to form later in the third, doubling its second quarter output. Anumba Numba, scored 12 of her 31 points in the third quarter. She went 4 of 7 shooting in that quarter and hit both of her three-point attempts. Swann added those 9 points, as we said, in the third quarter, and the Knights carried that momentum throughout the rest of the game, with the Knights taking care of it. And the final score, we said, was 89-51. Good game all around, I think, for the Knights to get that kind of a victory. You know, you're on a neutral court, but it was a home game, but neutral court. And then, of course, you know, being, I would say, a little bit tired, you know, from the night before, definitely did not help the case. And that takes us to the Union game. The Knights on the road again, taking on and defeating a ranked opponent, this time 73-66. In this game, Numba, again, the leading scorer with 29 points and finishing with a double-double on 11 rebounds as well. She chipped in 5 assists and had a game-high 6 steals in the match. Also figuring in quite prominently in this one, Nay Staten. She finished with 7 points, just 3 points shy of a double-double, because she grabbed 14 boards in this matchup against the Owls, 8 of them on the defensive side. Other contributors in this game, Jalen Swann, again, 16 points for her. She was 3 of 7 from three-point land and hit 5 of her 6 free throws. She also had 9 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 assists in the game as well. Another big contributor on the boards for the Knights, Vanessa Woodfolk, continues to get it done, averaging more than 11 rebounds per game. She had 13 in this one and finished with 8 points and 2 blocks as the Knights take it 73-66 over the then 11th ranked Union County Owls. The Knights, as we stated earlier on in the broadcast, are now 12-0 on the season. They have played their last game in 2021. They are back on the court in January 7th and 8th, as they head to the Penn State York tournament. That Friday on the 7th, they take on the host school, Penn State York. And then Saturday, they'll take on the Nittany Lions from the Mount Alto campus. Those games are 7 p.m. and 12 p.m. tip-offs, respectively. The Knights will not return back home here to the Kingdom until January 26th, when they have a family affair against sibling campus CCBC Catonsville. That one will be a 6 p.m. tip-off time. As of right now, spectators still unable to come and check out the games on campus. We'll keep you updated on that if anything changes. But for right now, no spectators. Continue to follow us on YouTube, the YouTube home of the Knights, youtube.com/CCBC Essex Knights. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have for this episode. We thank you again for joining us this week on our final podcast of 2021. And remember, follow us on social media, Twitter and Instagram at CCBC Essex Sports. On Facebook and YouTube, we mentioned the YouTube link multiple times here today. Facebook, just keyword search CCBC Essex Athletics. Make sure to check us out on the website, ccbcessexknights.com. And the social media handles for women's basketball are in the show description. Make sure you check them out on Twitter at Knights_WBB. And they're on Instagram at ccbcessex_WBB. We thank you for tuning in, and we really hope that you have a very happy holiday season and a happy new year. Until next time, so long and be well.